Hello students, welcome back to the program of Lax Purana, the geography series. In today's session, we are going to discuss about the extension of your primary sector, that is the various sectors that are involved, that is the secondary sector and the tertiary sector. And when you look at the first aspect of notes making with respect to a secondary sector and tertiary sector, and when we examine the questions that are asked on secondary sector, we see that it is mostly the industry based questions. And when we talk about these industry based questions, it is mostly the factors of location with respect to various industries. Either it is the factors of location with respect to various industries, or it is with respect to what are the changing factors with respect to these factors of location. So it is asking about one, the static aspect of the location or the factors of location. Two, it is also asking about the dynamic element with respect to what are the changing factors. Now in this context, whenever we are making notes on any of these particular industries, one aspect we have to talk about is what is the significance of that particular industry. The first dimension. The second thing that we have to talk about is what are the factors of location of that particular industry. It might be your market, it might be the raw materials, it might be the electricity, it might be the water availability, or it might be with respect to the labor, it might be with respect to the technology, or it might be with respect to the skills that are available in that particular region of setting of that particular industry. So we have to talk about what are the factors that are going to be dominant in determining the location of that particular industry. The third aspect that we are going to discuss is what are the challenges that are existing with respect to that industry. Now what are the challenges? Because when we talk about setting up of the automobile industry, or when we talk about setting up of any of these thermal power plants or nuclear power plants, you would have certain inherent challenges which are present. Or when you talk about setting up of your semiconductor or electronics industry, we see the fundamental or inherent challenge with respect to setting up of electronics industry in India is availability of semiconductor materials. That is an issue. So we also have to have a knowledge upon these challenges. It might be if you talk about the pharmaceutical industry. The major challenge with respect to the pharmaceutical industry is the APIs are being imported from China, that is around 70% are the import dependent. Then immediately, then the fourth dimension that we can discuss when we are making notes upon industry as a topic is what are the measures that are to be taken, or can we go for any alternative factors of location with respect to that particular industry. This is the dynamic element that has to be included in this particular note making. Then apart from that, now when you talk about the note making aspect of tertiary sector, majorly tertiary sector either is with respect to the logistics, or majorly the tertiary sector either is with respect to the trade aspect, or it is majorly with respect to the IT sector. So far the questions have been asked upon IT sector to a larger extent. And when you look at the notes making on your tertiary sector also, it is going to follow a similar aspect, that what is the significance of that particular sector. And apart from that, what are the factors that are determining the location? And apart from what are the factors, you also have to see what are the challenges and what are the measures. A similar kind of structure you can follow with respect to your secondary sector as well as tertiary sector. Please remember that it is having an element of differentiation with respect to your primary sector and the notes on the primary sector. Once we discuss this notes making aspect, now let's see what is the kind of the question that are being asked. When you look at this significance of industrial corridors, one aspect, then this is a very, very broad question that they have gone for. Broad question. Then the location of agro-based industries, the location of iron and steel industries. Again, look at this. They have repeated this question with respect to your iron and steel industries. The spatial pattern is nothing but what are the determining factors of location with respect to iron and steel industry. That is nothing but the spatial pattern, repeated 2014 and 2020. Then again with respect to petroleum refineries. And when you look at these industries, one very, very important industry that has been pending so far is with respect to the pharmaceutical industry, or it might be with respect to electric vehicle industry, or it might be with respect to the automobile industry in broader sense. Now these are very, very important industries still which are pending. Then when you look at the tertiary sector, they are talking about IT industries, or they are talking about uneven distribution of mineral oil with respect to this. What are the implications? So what is the nature of these questions? You see that they are fundamentally focusing upon a particular industry which is majorly a core area, which is core area, not only the core area, which is determining the extent or degree of development with respect to the Indian economy. So in that context, these two industries are going to be a future question we can expect. Now let's see one practice question, or the question of discussion that we are going to take for today is with respect to discuss the various factors with respect to localization. Discuss the factors for localization of agro-based food processing industries of northwestern India. Now the same pattern that we follow, that the first element that we are going to discuss of this particular answer is what is going to be the structure. And when we talk about the structure, the first element that we see is what are going to be the keywords with respect to this particular question. And when you look at the keywords, one is factors of localization of agro-based industries. This is one. Then apart from that, this with respect to northwestern India. So now once we identify these keywords, now we are going to see what are the subheadings that we can generate. Now when we talk about the subheading generation, now first we have to see that what are the understanding, or what is the understanding of agro-based industries. Then once we see this agro-based industries, then we have to talk about what are the factors of location. Once we discuss the factors of location with respect to these agro-based industries, why is the northwestern India, or how is the northwestern India favoring these factors of location? Then once we discuss this, maybe certain examples can be given as part of this. Maybe certain examples, certain agro-based industries clusters can be given. So this is the first aspect. Now let us see the content element of this particular question. Now when you look at the content element of this particular question, again we can start, or we can introduce this particular answer with respect to that what is an agro-based food processing industry. It is nothing but a kind of industry which is processing the raw material, and that raw material is fundamentally derived from the activity of agriculture. That can be a simple introduction. Then we immediately switching to the factors of localization vis-a-vis the northwestern India. Now when we look at these factors of localization vis-a-vis the northwestern India, the first point can be with respect to these particular regions had a very, very strong impact of the Green Revolution. Apart from the impact of Green Revolution, these regions are endowed with large amount of irrigation, large amount of riverine systems. And apart from that, you also can visualize that there is an element of entrepreneurship history that is present with respect to these regions. For example, Haldirams, right? Then apart from that, there is availability of cheap labor for the reason that these regions are high population density regions. Then apart from that, there is a strong market because the growth centers like Delhi, Noida are present, which are near to these regions. Then also the government support especially with respect to the mega food park product, the mega food park scheme, that is especially in the regions of Kapurthala, in the regions of Ludhiana with respect to Punjab. Right? So once we discuss what are the factors with respect to this, we have substantiated each of these factors with an example. That is what you are supposed to demarcate here. Because whenever you are writing an answer with respect to the industrial location or the factors of location of industries, you need to emphasize on what are the kinds of examples that can be used for substantiation. Very, very important. And once you talk about these aspects, a simple conclusion can be that how is your agro-food processing industries very, very important in ensuring both the elements of food security as well as nutritional security, and what lessons can be taken from the northwestern India so that the rest of the India can implement those elements of food processing. That can be a simple question, simple conclusion and simple way forward, right? Now as a practice question, now let's have one practice question. Now as part of practice question, you can see that discuss the multi-dimensional implications of uneven distribution of mineral oil in the world. This can be taken as a practice question. Please remember the elements that we discussed whenever we are writing an answer on industry or secondary sector or tertiary sector. This is the practice question. The model answer for this is available in the Telegram channel that is given in the description.